Hello and welcome to this discussion of Point-Counterpoint. Among a lot of issues that we've been discussing, one recurring theme that is a part of most of our professional lives in Goa is to track the mining situation, because that seems to be the biggest albatross around the neck of almost everybody who's concerned with getting Goa's economy back. This present discussion has been triggered off by a series of replies in the Rajya Sabha to questions raised by Rajya Sabha MP Luizine Falero on the restarting of Goan mining, and some of those answers which we will deep dive into are very interesting. One of the most important aspect of the entire issue is this government's belief that mining can be restarted quickly. The fact that there is a Goa Mineral Development Corporation which is alive and kicking and ready to kickstart the whole process. Thirdly, what has been put out is the fact that the barge owners and other mining stakeholders have been effectively compensated and all is well. The very nature of these replies to people who understand the Goan situation tells us that there is something amiss. Either there is a misinformation campaign, or there is a genuine lack of knowledge of ground realities. I have with me Harish Melwani, an old friend, and who is also a founding committee member of FIMI. Then, of course, we have a new guest, but a very important one, Priyesh Kamath, who's a shipyard and a barge owner, and a very important stakeholder. And of course, we have Claude Alvarez, the director of Goa Foundation, and one of the key petitioners in most of these cases. We are told that we'll be joined by Putti Gaonkar of the Goa Mining People's Front, who will be joining us very shortly. I'll start with you, Harish Melwani ji. See, the thing is, when we look at all these kind of responses, what is your first impression at this so-called optimism that is coming out?
See, one who is in business is always an optimist.
Right.
So, question of first and last impression is that of optimism only.
Okay.
We cannot drop our optimism.
Right.
Question is now, iron ore mining is blocked.
Right.
But Goa enjoys a lot of other minerals.
Yes.
Which can legally be mined.
Right.
So, I think it is about time we look at the options available to us and explore the minerals comprehensively so that we don't need to mine as much iron ore for the same revenue.
But do you agree, or do you admit that this so-called optimism about restarting iron ore mining, auctioning the mining blocks and so on and so forth, that is a challenge in itself?
That is not much of a challenge for a government which wants to do it. Remember one thing, governments have vast powers, and if they set out to do something, they can do it. Now, what are the roadblocks? That we can know only when we discuss with the government. I think pretty soon we will have that discussion and we will understand what are the roadblocks. The first step was to form the corporation,
right,
which has already been taken. Now the further steps will surely follow. And I think we are...
Okay, I'll get into the corporation questions because there's a whole section on
Fair
it.
enough.
But this being your opening remarks, we'll leave it at that and we'll come back to detail.
Fair enough.
Mr. Kamath, as a stakeholder of industry, one of the kind of replies that came from the Rajya Sabha, and I'll go straight into it. It says, and this is the reply by the Mines Minister, it says the state government of Goa has implemented the following schemes to give relief to the mining people.
Yes.
110.19 crores debt relief scheme, which is a financial relief to barge owners, mining machinery owners and truck tipper owners. 147.73 crores financial relief to 6999 truck owners. Okay, this is basically
Figures.
the two figures. Your quick response to that, the figures and the efficacy of it, and whether the amount has been distributed.
I would go into more towards your word of efficacy, because what happens is that, see, there is a scheme in place. Okay, now efficacy of the scheme is more important. I would if government puts some scheme for a rehabilitation, that doesn't mean that is rehabilitated. Problem is when a small barge owner or a machinery owner has taken a loan, okay, he has taken a loan the scheme itself, which has been put in place, expects that person to become an NPA. Okay, then I'm not going in detail because of the time constraint. We can talk in detail, but basically the scheme expects somebody becomes NPA, then we give him little benefit. Okay, whether he takes it or not, it is difficult for him to take that scheme also, because what happens is mining closure happened in 2012 September. Let's take one small example because it will be better for the viewers to understand what I'm telling. Suppose a truck was costing 20 lakh rupees. He has purchased one truck, he has taken 75% loan, 15 lakh he has got a loan on the case.
Right.
Closed in 2012 September. Okay, this scheme came out in 2015 September. Okay, 3 years down the line. Those 3 years he already has become NPA. His truck, which was maybe second-hand truck, was worth 15 lakhs. Today is worth 2 lakh rupees. Okay, government tells him, I'll give you 5 lakh rupees. His loan is 15. He has to sell his house. He has become NPA. He will not going to get a loan from a bank any longer. His morale is totally low. Okay, and that is exact status of mining dependent. Problem with current scenario is that, see, mine owners are in good shape, or their children are studying well, they are, or whatever it is, they are in a good shape. If you look at barge owners, some people are okay. Barge owners, some machinery owners, but majority of from there, if you come to the lower pyramid, are in deep trouble. You may say 1 crore is given, 100 crore is given, but that has not rehabilitated these people.
But has the money reached?
See, money might have reached some people, okay, but we need to understand, after getting that money, are they people in business? Are those people in business? Okay, they are out of business. There are numerous cases where barge owners have got 35 lakh capital subsidy,
right,
and has sold their asset and a plot or a flat, okay, and are out of business today.
Right.
They are struggling today.
Right.
Okay, I can put down cases to you. Okay, some people are struggling, even still their houses are on mortgaged with the bank.
Right.
Okay,
right.
or sold their plot.
Right.
My idea is that should a scheme, okay, it's like slow poison, it's like the frog, story of a frog, where you increase one degree of temperature and then finally the frog dies into that
right.
way.
Right.
So my idea is that government has done too little, too late. Okay, and idea is just showing that I've done something for you. It is not any sort of rehab policy. There is no roadmap for getting these people back to any kind of working. I'm saying, why mining? There are a lot of other activities you could see, because I have a excavator, I have a truck, or I have a barge. It need not be used to, as he said, iron ore mining. It need not be used for mining also. It can transport container, it can do lot of things.
Right.
Okay,
right.
but 10 years have passed, there is still no roadmap. Okay,
right.
I would strongly see that they should have made some roadmap to rehabilitate people in a better manner.
Okay, too little, too late is your operative
Too little,
word.
too late.
Claude, the two...
and one more point I want to make before I go.
Sure.
When mining restarts, whenever it restarts, okay, maybe 2 years, 3 years, that is anybody's guess today, because as a stakeholder we don't know when it will start. You only hear in paper that start in 3 months.
So what's your point?
Yeah, my point is, when this trade starts again, this trade will not have 80% will not be Goans.
Right.
This will not have Goan, because Goan is scared of mining. He will not invest in mining, and this restart is not going to help Goans as much as it would have helped if rehabilitated properly.
Great, good points. Too little, too late, as I was saying. Claude, there are two parts of the reply which I'll bring to your attention, as you would already probably know. One reply by the Mines Minister is as per the information provided by the state government has initiated the process of auction and they have identified mineral blocks through which they can do an auction. Point number 2, as per the provisions of the MMDR Act 57, state governments are responsible for the grants of mineral concessions through a transparent e-auction process. The government will explore all possibilities to safeguard the welfare of the mining affected people. Your quick response to these two replies.
Well, my immediate response is what Mr. Kamath had said about whether they have really bothered about the mining affected people? That answer is very clear. They say something in the Rajya Sabha, but in actual fact that is not the case at all. But more important is the whole exercise of restart, and as he said, you need a proper roadmap or a policy. Now the last time in 2014 the Supreme Court said that before you go in for giving fresh mining leases, please have a policy in place. So in November, they quickly came out with a policy, they notified it as a draft, and then they started giving the leases. Those leases again were cancelled. But interestingly, that document, that policy was notified in January after the MMDR Act was amended. So it was no use. So that Goa grant of mining leases policy was withdrawn in 2016. As of today, there is no policy. Now, if policy actually reflects a roadmap, what exactly are you going to do? What exactly is the framework under which you are going to work? Now, on one side, you are saying that we are going to do it under the corporation.
Right.
We have set up the corporation.
Right.
We have done this, etc.
Right.
But on the other side, you are talking about auction of mining blocks. Now, if you are going to auction the mining blocks, what is the need of the Goa Mineral Development Corporation?
Right. Correct.
So, if you want to have a Goa Mineral Development Corporation in force, then your first decision is to take to notify a decision of the government to ensure that all the reserves in Goa are kept with the Goa Mineral Development Corporation. Then that corporation can issue contracts to various parties for extraction of the ore. They can auction the contracts. They can do whatever. But who is going to be the person who has those leases in its hand? That has to be the Goa Mineral Development Corporation.
Right.
But you are saying that by August 17th you are going to begin the process of doing an auction for a mining block. So that means obviously to private parties, bypassing the corporation.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
What do you do with this type of confusion at the highest levels of government?
Harish bhai, you were talking about the Goa Mineral Development Corporation, the facts that it has been notified. But what is interesting here is that if you look at the Goa Mineral Development Corporation bill, an act thereof, it very clearly says that this particular corporation, when you make any corporation, you need to frame the rules as well. And here what has happened is, it very clearly says the government has to frame rules for prescribing the manner in which a lot of activities need to be done, including the role of the managing director, his receipts and allowances, then prescribing the sum of money out of the corporation's fund which has to be kept in your current account or any other account.
Allow me to interrupt you, Sujay.
And so on and so forth.
We are going into fine details.
No, my broader detail.
I'm coming you to a broader picture.
Yeah, my broader picture here is that rules have not been framed for the corporation.
Maybe so. But mining is a concurrent subject wherein state and center both are involved. About a month ago, we had a meeting of 25 CEOs of mining companies with the highest level. Our Union Minister of Mines, Mr. Joshi, was there. Mr. Amit Shah visited us in that conclave. We have made our recommendations on the way forward for mining.
Right.
Organized mining. Because most of these CEOs were from the corporate sector.
Right.
And we are not interested in illegal mining and court cases and all that. We want to run an organized mining, fully legal. Those points were very well received. And in fact, they expressed their regret at not having met us earlier.
Right.
You see, various things.
So what were the broad
things? First of all, recognize mining as an industry which will help raise funding, not only for mining per se, but downstream activities also.
Right.
Recognize that we have a lot more minerals than what are currently identified. Open up exploration for private exploration who can then sell this data to larger companies. So you see, today the environmental social responsibility demands a larger capital structure than a small mine operator can.
Correct.
You are in agreement with me? Now, if that small fellow is told, now you've done the exploration, now you operate this mine, of course he will cut corners. No? So it needs the permission to sell that data to a larger operator who can afford all these CSR activities, environmentally sensitive practices. So all that needs capitalization. Now if you are not an industry, how do you capitalize?
Okay. See, I'll just quickly respond to this point of view. See, the thing is, your points are very well taken. The initiative that you all took with the Mines Minister is also very well taken.
Here is different, Sujay.
But
the minister approached us.
Okay. But
So that is a very positive sign.
That undoubtedly is a positive sign, and that maybe is the way forward.
Exactly.
But what we are trying to get here is that the narrative that is coming from the state government here is that we are going to start iron ore mining. Number one. They are not talking of other minerals which you are very pragmatically suggesting. Number one. Number two, they are talking of identifying mineral blocks and getting into iron ore mining. Now the issue is the question as to who is the custodian of the resources, who will be the nodal body to carry out the mining.
Sir, in a broader view, allow me to interrupt you.
Sure.
Iron ore mining is totally regulated by the center under the MMDR Act.
Right.
State government can only request for assistance or recommend to the center. But until the center agrees, correct me if I am wrong, Claude, iron ore is totally restricted with the center.
No,
Okay.
no, that I think is wrong, because even the Supreme Court in that 2014 judgment said that these minerals which are part of the state will be subject to the policy of the state. Only the state can grant the leases. That's why they have amended the law now.
I will again read out the exact wording of the Mines Minister. As per the provisions of the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act 57, the state governments are responsible for the grant of mineral concessions through a transparent e-auction process.
Correct.
So the issue ultimately it is the state government, and state government will explore all possibilities to safeguard the interest.
Correct. But unless the center agrees, you can't release the lease for iron ore.
The center has agreed to what?
So center has not yet agreed. Center is clarifying. They are thinking over whatever recommendations we have made. And they will come out soon.
So you are saying that this whole tamasha about auctioning the first mining blocks for iron ore mining on the 17th of August, this is again another promotional gimmick.
It is not a promotional. Maybe government is working behind the scenes to ensure that it happens.
But then that violates the principle of transparency, no? Because see, as Mr. Kamath said, there are so many people who are dependent on mining. So many people who want to invest in mining. So many people have already invested in mining. They want to know where you are going. They want to know what you are going to do. You cannot tell them that in 15 days I am going to do this.
Well, that is a question you have to put to the government. I am not in any...
And also one point I would like to make. See, I've seen this government talk of, lot of other state government and central talk of investment coming from abroad and lot of FDI, lot of things coming.
Right.
But I am saying, I'm a small hotel owner or a truck owner or barge owner. My investment is not protected.
Right.
I have invested based on some activity which is going on from last 50 years.
Right.
When I invest in Goa, which is my own state, I am local here,
Right.
I have some faith in government, but this investment will be protected.
Right.
Tomorrow I open a hotel next to a mining, near a mine or something like that. My investment has gone berserk and nobody is asking whether I'm dead or alive.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
They are only talking about mine owners, some barge owners, they're only talking about people who are at the top of the pyramid. At the bottom of the pyramid, I know my people, like my master who was working on a barge today, because I have shifted some of my barges to Bombay. So those people who are operating Goa, there were a lot of this industry had a lot of Goan stakeholders. Goan master was there, Goan driver was there. A lot of Goans were working in this industry because this industry grew from last 50 years.
Right.
Now that fellow has become a watchman. That fellow is driving Zomato. One of my master is driving that cab. Okay, it's a difficult situation. Means what I'm trying to tell is that there was a pool of skilled people which is now doing unskilled job,
Right.
which is a big problem, which I don't know whether the state recognizes, whether the people recognize here. They say mining should start. I am talking about larger problem. I'm saying there were skilled people who are doing unskilled job. Do something for them. Try to rehabilitate them. See, your policy is as good as it supports the weakest link.
Right.
They say chain is as strong as the weakest link.
Yes.
So I am saying there is nothing for that. That person cannot even come and complain. If he has to come and complain to the assembly here, he does not have the money for ticket. He will say, I am not going to assembly, I am not going to my MLA, I am not going to anybody to complain. I don't have the strength to complain. Who is going to protect these people? What this for 10 years?
We had suggested as a right solution to this was to ensure that once the Goa Mineral Development Corporation started, all the persons who are skilled in mining, who are employed by the mining companies, would have a first charge on the corporation.
Right.
Because, as he said, who ran the mining industry in the last 30-40 years? All these people are skilled people.
Correct.
Now you have thrown them out. Okay. Now what we are saying is you have got an excellent opportunity to recruit them and give them back and use their expertise to do proper mining.
Right.
Because without them anyway you are not going to do proper mining. And if you get people from outside the state to do it, then you can be sure that we are going to have worse problems.
Even they will need the local people ultimately.
Everybody will need the local people, but I'm saying that if the local people have got such a profound distaste for it because they have not been looked after, then obviously they are not going to link up with the industry at all.
Basically, you are saying that we are looking at a very disgruntled workforce, which is the only workforce which knows how to mine in Goa.
Yes, and that's why they have now issued a threat, these Bishoni truck owners and all that,
Yes.
that unless you employers, we are not going to allow your mines to restart, and that's a very fair demand.
Right.
That's a very fair demand. Means we are the people who live in Goa, we have invested in trucks, we have invested in equipment, and now you are going to give the mines to somebody else.
Right.
Now, what's in it for us? Because a new person will say, I'm bringing my own people.
Right.
Like for Zuari Bridge, they brought their own people. For Atal Setu, they brought their own people. For railway double tracking, they are bringing their own people. So for mining also, they will bring their own people. Then why should we have mining in the state of Goa if no Goans are going to benefit from it?
Right.
And we are only going to get a negative effects in terms of the environmental damage.
Sujay, what is the interaction with government on these questions? Can the press, can the press take
Why
a
are they
lead
not
and-
coming for these meetings?
No, see the issue. No, okay, so the issue here is that's an important question. See, the interaction should not only be with the press but with the stakeholders, and transparency is the key word. See, from the little discussion that we have here, one notices that the transparency levels are not very high because either good efforts are not being passed on, and B, there's no clarity on the way forward. I mean, at least the people on the ground don't know what the clarity is.
No, I would add another point.
Yeah.
See, stakeholders in mining is not only about who has the money. Okay, stakeholders in mining is that person who is walking down on the ground.
Correct.
He is not involved in any decision making. He has no idea what is happening, and he does not even care, because if he goes to care for that, he doesn't get a bread at home.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
my thing is that aspirations of those people who are really involved in mining. See, I'll tell you one thing. If you know today, they will only know how many miners are there, how many traders are there, maybe how many barge owners are there. From there, it is blur. After that, they don't know who is there also. Okay. My problem is those are the larger number of people.
So you are essentially
Participate
saying that
them,
the
tell
government
them,
does not even know who the stakeholders are. The
I-
stakeholders are just figures. They are
Yeah.
not people. They are not human beings.
No, what
That's-
I think he's saying is government knows only the top of the pyramid
Correct,
stakeholders.
correct.
The base of the pyramid stakeholders have been lost sight
Right,
of.
right.
probably.
They're lost.
Correct me if I'm
Yes,
wrong.
yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, and that is where the misery is most.
Okay, the next point that I have here is an issue that we've been discussing in a broad picture. See, when we say mining has to restart, okay, now, and this auctioning is taking place. Now, does that necessarily mean when this auction takes place, the so many mining companies, the mining leaseholders, will they be back into the ring to participate in that auction? I mean, all of you can answer one by one, please. How will that work out?
Well, if you ask me, there is a fit and proper persons test that is usually used. For example, I'm just giving you a simple example. If there's a teacher, a male teacher in a classroom, and there is a girl, a student in the classroom, and he does something to her,
Right.
which is not expected, that person will never be given the job of a teacher again,
Right,
because he violates people's trust.
right,
I mean, you can't have a teacher who is misbehaving with his female students,
right.
or rapes them, or violates them in some way. You will say that you go to, you sit in jail for many years. After that, we'll give you some other job.
Right.
So if you are involved in illegal mining, as Supreme Court says, for 5 years you did illegal mining in the state of Goa. You did mining without a valid lease. That means you drove a truck on the road without a valid license. You flew a plane in the air without a valid pilot's license for 5 years. This is what the equivalent of what the Supreme Court said you did with mining. You did it for 5 years. So that's one big black mark against you. Then you had the CAG report. Then you have now the SIT, which is going into it now for so many years. And every one of them says very clearly that this much amount of illegal mining took place, this much amount of environment clearances were violated, this much amount of ore was taken out of the lease without paying royalties, this much amount of forest area was destroyed, nobody even knew that it was being destroyed. This many mines worked in wildlife sanctuary areas when they were expressly forbidden from doing so, etc. Now, if you put all these things together, do you think that anybody in his right mind would say, let's go back to the same set of actors?
Right.
If you take my example of the teacher and the student, would you say that I will hand over?
That's a very, very good moral, ethical and quasi-legal point. But the point is, does it stop them from participating?
It would, because the Supreme Court has said.
That would depend on what are the rules framed.
Right. If you, quickly,
the rules are very clear that if you are involved in illegal mining, you cannot be given an opportunity to participate in mining.
That answers your question.
Right. No, but these rules are, you're quoting which rule on this?
The MMDR Act.
What does it specifically say on this?
It says that if you are involved in any illegal mining, you cannot be considered for a grant of a fresh lease.
No, but has that definition been challenged? Has anybody challenged it?
How will anybody challenge it? I mean, it's very difficult for anybody to challenge.
So, Mr. Kamath, again, coming back to the same question that I asked Claude and Harish Bhai. See, in the sense that when you say, okay, let us look at the future, everything opens up, the Middle Development Corporation works well, all other things are in place. And you say, okay, we are good to go.
Yeah.
Now, when you say we are good to go, we are open for business. Can the people who are leaseholders and whose leases are no longer there, firstly be participants in this?
See, my point remains as a stakeholder. My first intention is to start. Who does it is not because I'm at survival position right now.
Right.
Whoever does it is okay for me.
Right.
Okay. Having said that, because in my individual point, I would say 10 years have passed. There are about 10 to 12 mine owners.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Both state government and central government is same. How many are accused? I am not aware. I don't know how many are accused. If in 10 years they cannot accuse, then how you are going to call them? Is there anybody accused? I have at least not known that any mine owner is accused of illegal mining.
So correct. That's a very important point that he's raised. My Claude's points are very important. My issue is that these mine owners, and
because general perception cannot lead them to be accused. But somebody has done the robbery. But I'm saying 10 years is not good enough to pinpoint, even accuse. Suppose there are 10 people in this room.
Right.
Okay, 3 of them have robbed. 10 years have passed, and as of this, I cannot even tell. Maybe these 5 have robbed, or maybe these all 10 are robbers. I do not see anything. I don't know. As my knowledge serves me. Yeah.
That is not exactly true, because Special Investigation Team has filed 16 FIRs already. For these type of cases which are referred to them by the Department of Mines. Number 2, the Comptroller and Auditor General in 2016 has indicted several mining companies on several grounds, and pursuant to that he said that 1,800 crores have to be recovered from them. Then there was a team of chartered accountants set up by Mr. Manohar Parrikar. And that team of chartered accountants found that there were defaults of 1,500 crores.
Total is about 3,431 crores.
3,431 crores default is there against all these fellows, and so far the government has recovered only 70 crores.
Yeah, 80 by the Rajya Sabha example.
About 80.
Yeah,
80.76. So the evidence of wrongdoing is there. It's, if you own the government, why will the government prosecute you?
No,
as you said, the government is dealing with the top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
So what does it mean? Government is fairly comfortable with the people at the top of the pyramid, because they are the ones who make the contributions to the political parties, and they are the ones who purchase the electoral bonds, and they are doing everything. So why would the government file cases against them? Because it's like biting the hand that feeding you.
See, again, Mr. Kamath, what Claude is also saying, and before I come to Harish Bhai, is this, the fact is, you are right, you are saying that nobody has been actually pinpointed. What Claude is saying is, yes, all these people have been pinpointed, FIRs have been lodged. But the point here is, apart from those 16 FIRs, to ensure that everybody is punished, what happens is, there's one aspect of the needle pointing at you. Needle of suspicion or even the needle of guilt, but it has to culminate in actual naming, shaming, punishment. That process has to be completed.
I agree to your point, but a larger point for me, okay, is that survival of bottom of pyramid. Okay, I am not in my lieu to name, shame and convict few people. I cannot burn my house and burn my people. I know down the people, you may not have access to them, but I personally know people are struggling. Some of my workers, ex-workers who are working, do not have money to pay their children's fees. Okay, so this is very sad story, and that is true story. It's not nothing. And
that is more important than
and I feel it is more important than anything else. Okay, who gets the mines, who does it is not important. How you rehabilitate the lower bottom of the pyramid is the most important question, which should have been answered in last 10 years. Still nobody is asking that question, is my bigger concern.
Okay. Harish, a quick response to all these points. No further questions. But
Claude has his own viewpoint and he is probably right in his own way. Mr. Kamath has his own viewpoint and he is quite right in his own way. I would just like to submit that there is no clarity on the legal structure of mining in Goa as yet. That concession matter has been pending for 30 plus years in the Supreme Court. Hopefully some clarity be brought in, so whatever policy comes out, it can be then implemented. Otherwise there will always be latches and lacunas.
But again, there has to be a time frame. We cannot wait endlessly for a policy to come.
You see, then
it's been 10 years. No?
Can someone tell the Supreme Court to decide the matter?
No, but what else is remaining for the Supreme Court?
The concession matter is still pending. You see, there was an abolition act in which all concessions which were in Goa.
But are you saying that is holding up all policy decisions?
Absolutely.
Claude, can you quickly respond to this issue?
Well, there is right now the matter being examined in the High Court, which would have probably some effect on what Mr. Melwani is saying. But to my mind, the matter which is before the Supreme Court is now depending on what the Bombay High Court decides. The Bombay High Court is tomorrow they are hearing the matter for the last day, and then we expect some judgment to come out from it. But this is so. Therefore, it's very difficult to comment on this issue. But he says this is mining industry has been claiming that we filed an appeal in 1998. Until today, our case is not being heard, and it is pending a decision of the 9-judge bench in the property owners case, which is a totally, it's difficult enough to get a 5-judge bench, a 7-judge bench, or a 9. To get a 9-judge bench in the Supreme Court to decide this issue is almost impossible. And what happened is they raised this issue of this 1987 Act in the first 2 cases, 2014, 2018, and the Supreme Court rejected it. They said, don't bring us these matters, we are not interested in this matter. If you want to go to the 9-judge bench, they said, you stop your mining. Stop your mining, then we will refer it to the 9-judge bench. But they didn't think that the 9-judge bench appeal was of any...
But do you agree that this little bottleneck of the Supreme Court final decision pending is leading to an overall delay in the restart?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, the government has issued an order now dated 4th of May 2022 to vacate the leases. That means that they are out of the leases. Whether they are concessions or their leases, whether their opinion is valid or not. Right now, they have already removed all their equipment. Most of the mining companies have removed their equipment, their pipes, their things out of the lease because it's a concern. And the time to get a stay on that order is gone because that order came into force on the 6th of June. So, what is the any more practical value of those type of discussions? Let us see what the High Court decides on this matter. And
one ironical situation which I request Harish Bhai to respond. See, here is now. Let us look at a situation where we are looking at the future and who will be in charge of mining. Whether the old mining guys will come in or not, there are views on that, strong views on that. Whether we are opening up our doors to ensure that the big fish from outside Goa come and take over mining, that is again possibility, stroke fear, stroke apprehension, whatever you call it.
Why should it be a fear?
No. I'm laying the different scenarios
today.
and different narratives.
Okay. Do some mining. It needs phenomenal amounts of capital, Sujay.
Right.
Now, if the Goan operator has access to that capital, so be it. If somebody from outside is going to come and mine in Goa, so be it. Now, as a Goan, are you not permitted to go to other states of India?
Absolutely
and
right, correct.
So where is the fear?
Okay. You're saying that should not be a fear.
There is no
but
fear.
the point here is that what about the stakeholders who've been involved in mining, Goan people, machinery owners, barge owners, and others?
That
who've
is
been
another
working for a long time.
aspect.
So what happens there?
What happens there? Can you carry the ore from the mine to the harbour without a barge?
No.
So you will need the barge owners.
Exactly, correct.
Can you haul the ore from the truck to the jetty without a truck? You will need the trucks.
Right.
Can you load the barge without a jetty? So you will need the jetty owners. That's the whole chain, which will again come into action. So these fears are just bogies.
So you are saying that even if there is a quote unquote monopoly situation where two or three big industrialists come in, they will have to integrate the
Absolutely, you will have to integrate with the local.
Claude, what's your point on this?
See, I have simple two things from mining. One is what Mr. Kamath says. If the local population is not properly rehabilitated from the past 10 years and not properly brought into the mining industry for the future, there should be no mining in the state at all. If only 80% of benefit is there for Goenkars from all the people who have been working with mining, then only you can restart. And that is the where is the material benefit from mining to go. If we are going to allow the environment to be disturbed, it must be for a good purpose. It cannot be because some outsider wants to come and mine. It must be because people need a job, people need income, and therefore the benefit has to go to them primarily first. Number two, income wise, every Goan has to benefit. I mean, we have been working very hard to ensure that every Goenkar benefits from the economic aspects of mining. That means this entire industry where you have 3 or 4 or 5 people at the top making their money and then doing double invoicing and parking their excess money in Singapore and Cayman Islands and all that, that is a thing of the past. What we need today is that whatever you gain from mining will go into the permanent fund or into the public exchequer, from which there will be a dividend for every citizen. Now we have given the schemes to the Goa government. Even the Niti Ayog, Niti Ayog had commissioned a report from Cuts.
Yes.
Even they say that we have made very good suggestions, but there has been no response from the state government. Our suggestions are, if mining takes place, it must benefit those people who work in it, but it must also benefit the people who own the ore. Don't forget, the government of Goa doesn't own the ore. Central government doesn't own the ore. The mines department doesn't own the ore. The people of Goa own the ore. They are the owners. If they are the owners, they are entitled to a benefit from the sale of the ore. If you got family gold and you got 3 brothers and 5 sisters and you sell the gold, everybody gets a share. So this is what we are demanding. You come out with a structure where every Goenkar gets the benefit of the wealth that is generated from mining.
Right.
But as far as the industry is concerned, the industry cannot proceed unless everybody who was involved in it is also recruited for the same job again.
Mr. Putikaukar of the Goa Mining People's Front, the president, see, the thing is, we were having this discussion on the way forward as far as mining is concerned, and there's been a recent reply in the Rajya Sabha to Luis Falero's questions, where the government seems to suggest that they are restarting mining and the mining blocks are going to be auctioned, and there are various schemes that have already been introduced to rehabilitate truck owners and barge owners and so on and so forth. So what is your confidence level? Because it's almost been 10 years. 3 elections have happened where people have been promised so many things. So what is the confidence level of the mining stakeholders at this point of time, and what is your reaction to these replies?
First of all, I have no confidence because Supreme Court has directed the both state and central government to commence the immediate mining in Goa. It was in 7 February 2018. Thereafter, even Prime Minister gave the assurance in public before during the 2019 election campaign at Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Stadium. Even I met him. He told me clearly that he will resolve the issue within a short time. But it was in 2018-19. Now 4 years have already passed. I don't know. This is, you have seen the context. Gram Panchayat elections were yesterday. Before Gram Panchayat election, 2 days before this news has come. So it is a political news. If they really want to restart the mining, they would have auctioned it long time back. What is procedure is required for auctioning?
No, but a lot of people saying that there are grounds are not clear. Supreme Court still has to decide on the leases versus
Who
consensus
says?
issue.
Who says? When Supreme Court itself in its order dated 7th February 2018 clearly stated that they have given on page 103 ordered itself.
Lokur's order. Justice Lokur's order. Yes,
Correct?
Yes.
Clear directions were given. They are not followed. Reasons best known to the state and central government.
Also, the other issue is that, as I was discussing with Mr. Kamath also, the Rajya Sabha reply very clearly says that there are different schemes and money has been allocated to barge owners, to truck owners, and the rehabilitation scheme has already started.
Not a single money has given to anybody after 2018, nor workers got any money, nor barge owners got any money, nor barge workers got any money.
What about truck owners?
No, truck owners also not get any money.
Your OTS scheme, one-time settlement scheme that was there for truck owners.
So that was in 2012.
Right.
Not in 2018.
Right.
And that scheme is the persons who were there, they have already taken it, who were eligible people.
Right.
Now, according to my information, in the barges, about 3-4 barges are remain.
Right.
It is only because of technical reasons.
Right.
Because some cooperative society, cooperative bank are not allowing them, and this is the reason.
Right.
And one second thing, rehabilitations is going to generate employment. We are talking about employment and the economy of the state.
Right.
How much amount we are lost? If you take the figures prior to 2012,
Right.
3,300 and odd crores were revenue yearly by virtue of income tax.
Okay.
3,300, and then
From
you
mining.
not only mining, it is general.
Right.
It is
Right.
see,
Associated also.
Associated.
it is associated also.
Right.
But
Correct.
what was the mining? When 2012 ends and next year income tax figure came,
That's correct.
it has come down to 1,200. So how much it was? More than 2,000 crores rupees.
Right.
They were getting only the income tax.
Right.
Rest, there are other issues. There are other claims. See, mining, he may differ with me,
Right.
but there is a levy.
That's true.
35%, 30% levy was there.
Correct.
Then district fund is there.
Right.
Then another cess is there.
Right.
So these are the levies already levied. And who stopped the state government and central government imposing them the levies further?
Okay, I'll just come back to you. I'll get on to the others and bring you into the discussion again, putting up important points that you've raised. Quick thing, one of the questions that was asked was whether there is any proposal to compensate the mining affected workers after the recovery of illegal mining as per the CAG report. The reply was, as per information provided by the Goa government, the investigation on the report on the Shah Commission is with the special investigating team. Now the point here is, when will the special investigating team complete the report, post which this recovery of dues will be done? Claude.
See, the complaint was filed by the Director of Mines and Geology in 2012.
Right.
Now we are in 2022, that is 10 years.
Right.
This mining industry in Goa, everything is in the region of 4 years, 5 years or 10 years.
Correct.
And these people have done this investigation. They have so far registered 16 FIRs. Out of the 16 FIRs, 3 have gone to court. They have been thrown out
Right.
by the court because of wrong procedures in filing, etc. There are only about 8 or 9 which are pending.
Right.
They were asked to investigate more than 126 mining leases.
Right.
They have gone on. What they are doing in the SIT, one does not know, because they are not asking even the help of anybody. They are sitting with files. These are police officers who have been given huge files by the department, and they are poring over those files now without any guidance what they will understand about these issues, because mining is very complicated. What they will understand, one does not know. But if you go on investigating like this for the next 20-30 years, by the time you file your court proceedings, you are going to be thrown out again on the basis of delay.
Delay. Correct.
Because you cannot go on saying that I'm investigating you for going on for a long time. You cannot do that.
Harish, my quick response to this, same question. in the sense that this SIT has been there for time immemorial. They are getting into investigation of each of these cases. If the SIT carries on the investigations at this pace, will there be any credible investigation, and will the people who need to be fined or need to pay up will ever be brought to?
So yeah, that is a question for the SIT to answer.
Correct.
No?
Correct.
How can I tell you what they are up to? I was called before the SIT.
I see.
I appeared. I produced all my documents.
Right.
And now we have to await what they are finding.
Okay. Pudivap, tell us this whole issue of investigation and the mining companies being, paid. Do you feel that if this investigation happens in a quicker pace and the mining companies have to pay up, then what happens is then maybe the road to proper sustainable proper mining becomes clearer, because ultimately if people have stolen, they need to pay back.
See, one thing issue is clear. I am not going to the points whether they are stole or they are not stole. That is a investigation.
Correct.
But my issue here is different. When one of my colleague under RTI asked the information, what about Shah Commission's report?
Right.
And how much they have recovered and how much there was authentication information.
Right.
He got the information that Shah Commission report was based on Google Maps, and only the encroachment is 5 point something acre of land or hectare of land.
Right.
The document I have not brought today. I have got the document,
Right.
and the loss is negligible.
Right.
Now, one side state government himself says there is no loss and there is a negligible.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
And other side SIT is also sitting.
Right.
And whom to believe? Let them complete the report. Let them complete. SIT complete the investigation. Who stopped them from completing the investigation? But find out the truth. Because of that, you don't stuck the workers,
Right.
the mining dependents,
Right.
and their daily bread and butter earning.
I will narrate a very important official information that has been given in Parliament, and we have to take that as authentic. It says, as per the information furnished by the state government of Goa, the Goa government has appointed chartered accountants to carry out assessment of certain pending dues from the mining companies. Look at the language being used. As per the summary report of the chartered accountants, total dues from the mining companies are assessed at 352.23 crores, out of which 80.47 crores have been recovered so far. Rest are under investigation. Now the point is, at least this out of this 343 crores, which may be a drop in the ocean, even a response to that drop in the ocean is a further drop. Out of 347 crores, there are only 80 crores that have been recovered. What do we have to say to this? On one hand, you are saying that it is negligible. On the other hand, the government itself has furnished information that the chartered accountants.
No, my point is not that. My point was, when you say 35,000 crores,
Yes.
and even if I agree that 330 crores, what is the difference?
Right.
How much you lost by virtue of levies and other things for last 5 years?
Correct.
It is much more than the amount which is already there. You can side by side. You can side by side take by SIT, investigate, do whatever you want to do, but don't stop this bread and butter of the workers and mining dependents.
Correct.
I feel after 5-10 years they will say there was no loss.
Correct. No, but right now, what is happening? But there are bodies working. You cannot deny the CAG report.
Yeah.
You cannot deny the chartered accountants report. These are amounts that come to mind anyway.
Sir, I will tell you. I will just interrupt you.
Yeah, sure.
In Indian, either judiciary, law and whatever, the result of this will come when my grandson will be the lawyer.
Right.
He has chosen the profession already.
Correct.
No, but
Then where is this things? People are dying.
larger point is what people should do, and at the lower part of the pyramid, they have no idea what is happening.
Okay, one more question that I need to bring you in, and we actually finished a sufficient chunk before you came, but we need to discuss it because it's important. Now the point here is, irrespective of which way mining starts and who controls it, whether it's a Mineral Development Corporation controls it or it is an independent body, whether you have the current mine owners operating or you have the outside mine owners operating, those are subjects we can go on and on with regard to this. But as far as the Goan mining people are concerned, the issue here is, will the Goan mining people accept reality as it unfolds, or will they according to you, take a much more stronger, aggressive stand to see that the rights are protected? What does the mining people feel? What do the mining people feel?
Goan people, because of Goan attitude,
Yes.
we are at this stage.
Right.
If this mining would have closed in other state, this government would have gone. But still, by virtue of these people, they are really electing them again.
Point. This is 3 elections of.
Correct, they are electing them.
But the government has not changed.
So why? This is the issue now in Goa.
What is the issue?
Issue is that Goans, they doesn't want to fight. They don't want to go ahead.
Or your own mining people must be thinking that the BJP is the best hope because they are going on promising to restart the mining.
See,
That is the case. Yeah, that is the case.
You can fool once or twice, not every time.
It has happened 3 times.
It is not. See, I am telling you, that's why. This is the attitude of the Goans. Sushaga's attitude rasa going so. That is the problem.
No, but it's regarding, as Mr. Kamath said, bread and butter is the issue. Their livelihoods are affected. They are struggling to stay afloat. My issue is that now what? Will it go on like this, or is there a change of thinking?
I don't think it is going to be many change of thinkings. It is clear.
Okay.
Now, once mining start, then again the issue will crop up. Because that time vested interest will come. Who is the contractors? Whose belongs to that contract? Whether it is ex-ministers or ex-president of India or whatever. That the issue will come. Unless it is restarted, major issues are not going to come because people are.
Okay. See, people have substituted their jobs. Again, same thing, the point I was coming. From a skilled job, some people have gone to unskilled jobs. They have substituted. If bread is not, rice is not available, they are eating bread now.
Right.
Now, as he's saying, when it starts and somebody starts eating that fried rice, that time the problem will come.
Okay, we need to kind of wrap this up a little bit because we are running out of time. But one last round we'll do, in the sense that, Claude, now suppose we say, okay, we are ready to restart mining, everything, all decks are cleared. Now, is the Goa GMDC the only route, along with the Goenchi Mati formula that you all had introduced, where everybody gets a share of the mining profits? And is the Goa Mineral Development Corporation the only way to restart the mining through a nodal agency like GMDC?
See, 12 other states have got mineral development corporations.
Right.
And not all of them are in losses. Many of them are doing quite well.
Right.
Because it's an exclusive monopoly which they get, and then they can, if they utilize it properly and if there's good public pressure and public people watching them,
Right.
things can work out. It is not that going to a public sector corporation is going to be the end of it.
But you are saying that 80% of the benefits should come to Goans.
We have been saying that from the very beginning, and we have said, and we are going to reiterate it again. If it doesn't come to the Goans, either in the form of dividend and in the form of employment at the lower level, there is no way that there is no reason to restart mining in the state of Goa. There is no reason, because I am not going to say that we should have an industry which is run by JSW or Adani or something for the benefit of people outside the state. You have something, you are destroying your environment here, you are destroying your paddy fields, your water sources and so many other things. Well, that sacrifice you can make only if people from here are benefiting. If you go to all the mining areas, you go to Pisule, you go to Sonchi, you go to the Dabal, you go to all these places, you find that as a result of last 10 years of mining, the local people are all devastated. Their water supplies are gone, everything is gone. That is not the way you can do mining again.
So, Mr. Kamath, taking off from where Claude left off, now the issue is will the Mineral Development Corporation looking into the rights of Goans and Goan workers? Is that the way forward? And if this does not happen, what will happen to the existing workforce?
See, I believe they should look at it, but will they look at it is a big question. Okay, and as most people talk, it becomes very difficult to protect the interest of the weak, and that we have seen last 10 years. I think most people who have suffered are at the lower of the pyramid, and nobody, even today, I don't think, even if you ask state government, central government to give me a data, they don't have, and they are not going to be protected. If you ask me my opinion, mining can be started because economic progress, mining or an alternate employment, economic progress is only way they are going to be rehabilitated. I am saying, if you have, suppose there are 100 people in a village, some are truck operators, some are lathe operators, some are doing some mining related activity. Government can plan even an alternate employment for them.
Right.
That would be, that can be more beneficial.
Right.
Looking at the capabilities available,
Right.
some profession can be engaged, because rather than even mining can be started.
Right.
But I'm saying something has to be done for we stakeholders. Like I'm a taxi driver, I need some client to come in.
Right.
Okay. And please don't ask me to authenticate whether he is legal or illegal.
Right.
It is not my job.
Correct.
Also, as equally state is responsible for the illegalities which has happened, not only the person who does it.
Yes,
Okay.
agreed.
And don't blame me. I am a taxi driver. Whom I am carrying in the taxi, whether he has robbed something or not, how am I supposed to? Because he is paying me 80 rupees to go from point to point.
Fair enough. Harish bhai, in this sea of rightful despondency and sadness, do you feel that there is still a way where government, stakeholders, industry can come together and either improve the scenario or look at alternate ways of developing the economy through different minerals?
So, Jay, I am in day-to-day contact with the mining dependents in the villages.
Right.
I meet them every day.
Right.
There is no despondency. They have accepted the fact that there is no mining employment available and people have moved away.
Everybody has moved away.
Most of them.
Okay.
Most of the people have moved away into some occupation or the other. It may be lower paying than what they were getting. It may be something else that they are doing, not driving a truck but driving a taxi. So people have in general moved away. By grace of God, we have other industry in Goa like tourism, construction, which has absorbed them. Most of the migrant workers, the truck drivers were all Jharkhandis, have gone back. The barge crew were mostly Bengalis and they have gone back. So we don't really have that despondency. What fact remains is there are some who have bank loans to pay, who are desperate, whose houses are being attached, but those are few. Now, if press helps in highlighting these cases to the government, I am sure something can be done. But we need to interact with the government on these issues. In isolation, us sitting here
Correct.
and discussing till next 100 years, nothing will happen.
Okay.
Unless press pins down the government, talks to them and works out a way.
Fair enough. Putibab, tell us now, Harish bhai is saying that there is no sadness, no despondency because people have moved on. What is your take on this?
See, underemployment, that is called by virtue of forced employment. How they will survive? They are just doing time, killing the time, nothing else.
And surviving.
And surviving. That is only they are doing it. Instead of begging, it amounts to begging, nothing else. In Goa, if you see, Goa is a small state. Even minimum wages are not paid properly.
But do you agree that the time has come to look beyond mining, looking at the situation now?
I will not agree with you because we have no infrastructure. Industries, if you see from COVID time till today, several industries have been closed down in Goa. Many industries, can you give me a single example where big industry has come? And they are mostly not coming because of the factor like my friend Alvarez Bab. Why? They feel one time Cloud Alvarez will start somewhere and industry will be closed. So instead of coming in Goa, better go to Tamil Nadu or other states. Like,
but Lord has stopped industry from coming in.
See, I am not saying that. I am just joking. But one thing I will tell you, simple example. Environmentalists, we are also protecting the. If you see, I am the farmer, and during COVID time, at least 1,000 plants I have planted myself in my property. I have developed my property. But that doesn't mean that you have heard yesterday's example. एक वड शिरोड्या पडलो रस्त्यावयलो.
Banyan tree.
Correct. Now let us think of that people. People are dying because of this type of people who are objecting. Cut the trees from the road, and people are dying. I lost about 1.30. I have to pay. My vehicle was damaged. My son's vehicle was damaged totally because of mango plant. Now these things, see, you have to protect the environment, no doubt. I am 100% for that. But you have to look after, instead of, you can ask the people, instead of, if you have cut one tree plant, there is a law also on that.
Of course.
There is a law.
Correct.
But see the correct things properly.
So you are essentially saying is that moving away from mining is not practically possible because the state does not have infrastructure.
No.
So you need to depend on mining, and you need to be mining dependent.
Exactly. That is the reason. If you see.
But when you say that, you are also saying that you have a hope that mining will restart properly.
Government has to go, a state or central government has to start the minings by whatever means. They have to start because you know today what is the treasury of Goa? They are virtually on loans. Check the figures from 2018 to 2022. How much loan they have taken? They doesn't have the money to pay the wages of the government employees, and from there, from where they
loans? Yes.
Correct. Now, second part, tourism. What they are doing today? They want to casinos and other things they have to develop. Why? They want to make Goa as a Singapore, or what? Then where will be our culture?
So what you are essentially saying is it doesn't matter whether a local Goan mine owner mines or whether somebody from outside mines, as long as mining should start properly.
I am not on that point. I am not on who runs the mining. That I am not.
Is not an issue.
It is not an issue.
You
Mine should start.
Right.
Now, you rightly pointed out, if outsider comes like Adani, Jindal, then they will not engage local peoples.
But how will they not engage?
I will give the example. I will give the example, sir. I just come from Kotalim. You also come from Kotalim.
Zuari Bridge.
Correct.
Yes.
Zuari Bridge, more than 1,400 workers are there.
Right.
Not a single worker is from Goa.
Right.
This is the same thing will happen.
Yeah.
Now let us take the port, where coal is handled. How many Goans are there in the coal?
Zero.
Right.
And where is the control of the government? If you take small example of Verna industrial state.
What is the alternative? Who will, if suppose you don't want Adani to come or so on and so forth, you don't want a Jindal or Adani to come, then who should do the mining then?
See, first of all, government should initiate the commencement of mining. Then we will decide who will going to come. Because Goan minings are going to be under litigations again.
Exactly.
That is my point.
Sure.
I am of that
So
opinion.
who will do the mining? You need, as Harish Bhai was saying, you need people with capital and expertise to do it.
See one thing. If there are problems, unless you go to them, it is not solved. You just keep quiet. There are problems. Saying the problems are there, then problems are not going to solve.
Right.
What government is doing?
Right.
One side they say cloud is there, other side they say other people, mine owners are there, or third other persons are there.
And Putty is there.
I am for what? I am just a mouthpiece of the mining dependent.
Right.
But my point is simple. Let us start it. You want to start by corporation, make him the chairman of the corporation. Start the mining. I have no issues.
Is that your proposal?
I am proposing anything. Okay. Let him become a chairman of the corporation and let him run and bring it to it. See, secondly, I am telling you basic one point that which I have to point out. Because I am in the mining industry as a labor union leader for last 42 years. I know each and mining dumps because 80% mining workers were with me for last 20-30 years. Now, mining in Goa is low grade ore, which is from 45, maximum 58, 61, and that has already they have sold in 2012 boom.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
Now to that you require upgradation, you require infrastructure.
Right. For beneficiation.
Correct? Now that ore, grade and rates, and the levy, that is cess, which was export duty of 50%, it is not going to viable. Not a single 1 ton iron ore was sold after that notification. So government, I don't know what government is going to do. See, what is the business? Central government today and state government, they are only on taxes. In my earlier periods, I have seen only when we are young, what we are saying? Only we are looking after the budget in February. What are the increase in the budgets? What are the increase in that period only? Thereafter, no increase was there.
Right.
Till next budget.
Right.
Today, every month there is a council meeting of GST and rates are increased. See, what is this? This is a social government or a government of Marwadis people. Don't say I'm Marwadis.
I am not
It is a word. It is a word. So it is a language you use always. That it is a government.
Right, right.
So these are the issues.
Right, right. Okay, we are unfortunately really out of time. We would have had to curtail this right now. But I think most of the important points have been addressed. But the big, one of the few takeaways is that one is that there's a lot of suffering at the grassroots and people need to get their livelihoods back. Though many of them have moved out, but there is a very strong view which says that, look, as far as the Goa landscape is concerned, the alternative is still not there for people to take that risk of moving out completely. And thirdly and most importantly, I think investigations into illegal mining need to be expedited and the guilty need to pay up and be brought to book. Otherwise, there will be no closure to a past that has happened. Let us hope this discussion brings in, at least some good points to take it forward. And as Harish Bhai was also saying, is that the dialogue should continue and the government should also ensure that they kind of engage and also deep dive into a layer of the pyramid which is lower than the top layer, so they ultimately understand the landscape and the people. Because at the end of the day, we can have many discussions, but the fact remains that the person at the lowest end of the radar is still has tears in his or her eyes which need to be wiped off, and there are school fees to be paid, there are housing loans to be cleared off, there are machinery loans to be cleared off, and the humane aspect should not get lost in any discussion that we have. I thank all my panelists for taking time out
Thank you.
and being with us, and I hope we'll come back more for such riveting discussions. Thank you very much.